In the top stories, St. Kitts Nevis concludes airlift mission at Roots Americas 2026 in Rio de Janeiro, meeting major airlines to explore new flight routes and strengthen tourism access. U.S. trial opens for suspects accused in assassination plot against former Haitian President Jovenel Moïse, and Iran appoints Mujtaba Khamenei as new supreme leader following death of his father. Hello and welcome to the ZIZ Midday Major Newscast. Today is Monday, the 9th of March, 2026. I'm Jason Davis. Nationally, a high-level delegation from St. Kitts and Nevis successfully completed an airlift expansion mission at Roots Americas 2026 in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. The high-level mission focused on strengthening airline partnerships, increasing flight frequencies, and ensuring the destination remains competitive and easily accessible to international travelers. The delegation included Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Tourism, Tivana Wharton, Chief Executive Officer of the St. Kitts Nevis Tourism Authority, Kelly Fontenelle, and representatives from the St. Christopher Air and Seaport Authority. During the summit, which was held from the 3rd to the 5th of March, the team held strategic meetings with major airlines, including American Airlines, Delta, United Airlines, Southwest, Copa Airlines, Porter, and Air Canada. A highlight of the event was CEO Kelly Fontenelle's participation in a regional panel on building resilient and accessible aviation networks, where she emphasized the importance of innovative partnerships and stronger collaboration across the Caribbean. The Ministry of Tourism says engagements at Roots Americas are part of a continued strategy to drive tourism growth and improve air connectivity to St. Kitts and Nevis. Efforts to expand recycling are continuing as stakeholders work to strengthen waste management and environmental sustainability in the Federation. On February 28, the group Let's Recycle in St. Kitts and Nevis met with the Department of Environment and the St. Kitts Solid Waste Management Corporation to discuss plans for the year ahead. The discussion focused on several priorities, including the upcoming opening of a new recycling facility, the expansion of community-based programs, and preparations for this year's National Recycling Competition. Stakeholders also examined ways to improve the collection and processing of materials such as cardboard, plastic, and aluminium. Officials say the collaborative efforts are aimed at building a more effective recycling system while supporting a cleaner and more sustainable St. Kitts and Nevis. In other news, pioneering women across the Federation were recognized for their contributions during a special International Women's Day celebration held at the Railway Bar and Grill in Old Road on Sunday. Minister of Social Development and Gender Affairs Iceline Phillip delivered remarks, while keynote speaker Waveney Henry presented an address entitled Beyond the Day. Awards were presented in several categories, including Women in Public Service and Governance, Healthcare and Social Services, Education and Youth Development, Economic Empowerment and Entrepreneurship, Culture, Advocacy, and Community Leadership. Special honors were also presented, including the Tricia Greer Ocean Governance Beacon Award, the Department of Disabilities Her Ability Empowerment Award, the Legacy Award, and the Prime Minister's Award. Other distinguished guests at the event included Governor General Dame Marcella Liburd and Deputy Prime Minister the Honorable Dr. Jeffrey Hanley. This year's International Women's Day was observed under the theme Give to Gain. Moving now to news on the regional scene, jury selection is set to begin on Monday in Miami in the U.S. federal trial of 5 men accused of playing key roles in the 2021 assassination of Haitian President Jovenel Moïse. The men, Arcangel Pretel Ortiz, Antonio Intriago, Walter Ventimiglia, Christian Sanon, and James Solanges are accused of taking part in a South Florida-based conspiracy to kidnap or kill the Haitian leader. All 5 have pleaded not guilty and could face life in prison if convicted. Prosecutors say the plot was organized and financed in South Florida months before the attack. Court documents show the group met in April of 2021 and discussed a plan to remove President Moise from power and install a new leader. Investigators say Haitian-American Dr. Christian Sanon was initially expected to take over as president. The plan was later shifted to support former Haitian Supreme Court Judge Wendell Thelot, who remained a fugitive until her death in January of 2025. Officials say about 24 foreign mercenaries, mostly former Colombian soldiers, stormed Moise's private residence near Port-au-Prince on July 7, 2021. The president was shot dead, and his wife, Martine Moise, was seriously wounded in the attack. Prosecutors say some of the accused helped recruit and finance the group of mercenaries who carried out the assault. Several co-conspirators have already pleaded guilty in the United States and are now serving life sentences. Meanwhile, more than 20 other suspects, including former Colombian soldiers and Haitian officials, still face charges in Haiti. But the investigation there has been slowed by gang violence, death threats, and a collapsing judicial system. Still on the regional scene, Trinidad and Tobago's decision to join a new U.S.-led security initiative is drawing both support and questions following the Shield of America summit held on Saturday in Doral, Florida. The summit, hosted by U.S. President Donald Trump, brought together leaders and representatives from about a dozen countries across Latin America and the Caribbean to discuss cooperation against drug cartels and transnational crime. The meeting resulted in the launch of a new regional security framework known as the America's Counter-Cartel Coalition, which envisages sharing intelligence, coordinating law enforcement actions, and in some cases, military support against cartel networks. Trinidad and Tobago Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar signed the agreement at the summit, joining other participating countries including Argentina, Ecuador, El Salvador, Panama, and Paraguay. Guyana's President Dr. Irfan Ali also attended the meeting. The two countries were the only members of the Caribbean community invited to the summit, and they're also the only two oil-producing states in the 15-member regional grouping. Supporters say the initiative could help strengthen regional security cooperation and tackle transnational crime networks. But the decision has also prompted questions from some political figures in Trinidad and Tobago. Former Minister Vasant Bharat questioned how the alliance would address Trinidad and Tobago's domestic crime problem, which he said is driven more by local gang violence and illegal firearms than by large cartel operations. Analysts across the region have also noted that the summit's agenda focused primarily on security and geopolitical issues, while other Caribbean priorities, including climate finance and economic development, were not central to the discussions. The governments of Trinidad and Tobago and Guyana have not yet released full details of the specific commitments they have made under the new security framework. On to international news, where Iran has named a new supreme leader just days after the death of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, as the war with the United States and Israel continues to escalate. Iran's Assembly of Experts announced that Ayatollah Mujtaba Khamenei, the late leader's son, has been chosen to take over the country's most powerful position. The 56-year-old cleric is considered a hardline figure with close ties to Iran's paramilitary Revolutionary Guard. His appointment comes more than a week after the U.S. and Israeli strikes killed his father during the opening phase of the conflict. Since then, Iran has continued to launch missile and drone attacks against Israel and several Gulf states, while airstrikes on Iranian targets have also continued. Mujtaba Khamenei, who has kept a low public profile, now assumes control of Iran's armed forces and will play a central role in decisions about the country's nuclear program and the ongoing war. Flash floods triggered by days of heavy rain have left at least 42 people dead across Kenya. The government says the deaths have been recorded since Friday as torrential rainfall swept through several regions of the country. Public Service and Special Programs Minister Jeffrey Ruku said police have documented 42 fatalities so far, including 26 in the capital, Nairobi. Low-lying communities in the city were among the worst hit, with floodwaters sweeping through informal settlements, submerging homes, and carrying vehicles away as rivers burst their banks. The flooding has also caused major disruptions to transport and daily life, with roads cut off and infrastructure damaged in several countries. Kenya Airways says some flights heading to Nairobi were forced to divert to the coastal city of Mombasa because of the weather. On Saturday, emergency workers were seen recovering bodies from floodgates across part of the capital. Kenyan President William Ruto said soldiers and other emergency responders have been deployed to support rescue and relief operations. He also announced that food from the country's national strategic reserves will be distributed to affected families, and the government will cover medical bills for those injured. The Kenyan Red Cross said hundreds of households have been impacted, with farmland and livelihoods also destroyed by the floodwaters. Scientists say climate change is making extreme weather events in East Africa more intense, with rainfall increasingly falling in short, heavy bursts. And now for the weather. Present weather across St. Kitts and Nevis is cloudy skies with slight dust haze. Winds are easterly at 12 to 20 miles per hour, with possible gusts to 30 miles per hour in and around showers. Seas are moderate with waves of 1.8 to 2.4 meters or 6 to 8 feet. A small craft advisory remains in effect. Weather today will be partly cloudy with 40% or a moderate chance of showers. Tonight will be partly cloudy to cloudy with a 60% or moderate chance of showers. Sunset today will be at 6:20 p.m., sunrise tomorrow at 6:22 a.m. And that brings us to the end of the ZIZ Midday Major Newscast. Join us this evening for these stories and more. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Jason Davis.